But Mitch, you didn't tell us what we need to do about it. Well, au contraire, my friends. Many, many, many videos on my channel tell you exactly what to do about it. But to save you all the trouble of having to search through and watch hours and hours of videos to find that one answer, those few simple things that you can do, I'm going to summarize them now. Well, good morning, everybody. It's me, Mitch. In this video today, I want to do a part 2 to the monkey on my back video about addictions that I did yesterday. And in that video yesterday, my goal was to basically get you to take a look at addiction from a different standpoint and see if maybe that really isn't your problem, because I profess that it is the biggest problem we have, and we just don't realize how we're being controlled by the messaging, the media, and worst of all, by our subconscious, causing us to go off our diets and binge, and allowing us to make excuses to ourselves why it's okay. Just this last time. One more time can't hurt. You know the excuses. I'll start the diet again on Monday. I'll start the first of the year. You know, we've all done that. But very few of us have asked ourselves, how could I have done that? I know after we do it, we feel ashamed of ourselves. When we get our rational thinking back, after we've done the dirty deed, we've eaten the gallon of ice cream or 2 pounds of fruit or whatever, we feel guilty and ashamed of ourselves. We promise we're never going to do it again, and yet we just keep doing it. In many of my past videos, I've explained the actual physiological and psychological mechanisms at work that allow our animal brain, our subconscious mind, to have what it thinks it needs. And it gets its way. Towards the end of yesterday's video, I talked about the fact that I am a raging carboholic addict, have been all my life. Doesn't take much to trigger me, especially sweet tasting things. As smart as I think I am and how much self-control I think I am at the mercy of those physiological and psychological mechanisms that were designed to ensure my survival, taking conscious control away from me when it thinks it has to. Just like if we tried to kill ourselves by stopping breathing. We can't do that. At a certain point, we lose the conscious control and we have to breathe. That's the power that these addictions have over us. I said at the end of the video, let me tell you how I did it. And I didn't tell you how I did it. I left that open. That wasn't the point of that video. The point of that video was to get you to look at addiction from a different viewpoint. I hope many of you have, and have accepted the fact that, yes, I think that's what's been screwing me up for my whole life. Now, I don't want this to be a complete tutorial in how to start the carnivore diet, what to do on the first 30 days of the carnivore diet, what to do after the first 30 days, how to transition into more of a maintenance and sustainable mode of the carnivore diet. I'm going to talk about the 2 things that are primarily designed, that I discovered have worked for me to take away the power of the cravings and the addiction. A hack, if you will, for our physiology to stop them in their tracks. I've summarized these in my first 30-day videos, and I've done a couple of them. But here is a summary of how I finally, and I'll use the word cured, a lifelong slavery to sugar. And it no longer hounds me or bothers me anymore. When you start, make up your mind that you want to start living this carnivore lifestyle, you, of course, are going to learn right off the bat what foods you can eat and what foods you can't or shouldn't eat. That's not what I'm going to talk about here, but I am going to talk about eating. And when I talk about eating, of course, I'm talking about eating just the foods that you're supposed to eat. And just as important, those foods should be in an acceptable fat to protein ratio. That's a given right now. That's something you'll learn about, but many of you have probably already learned that. There are two incredibly important steps to survive the first 30 days. Eliminate the cravings. And if you do get cravings, they won't be strong enough for you to lose control. One of these steps is a physiological step. It's a chemical reaction in your body to the food you eat. The second step is a psychological step designed to help you with your thinking and recognize the things that change your mood and disillusion you and make you give in to those cravings. So the first step, it's my most important rule. And my first rule for the first 30 days of a carnivore diet is eat. And the first time people hear that, they say, oh, okay, because most diets tell you not to eat. This is great. I see a difference already. Everybody else that tells me how to lose weight tells me to restrict my eating. Don't eat. You, Mitch, are telling me to eat. And not only am I telling you to eat, I'm telling you to gorge. I'm telling you to eat until you can't eat another bite. And the instant you get hungry, you start eating again. I'm telling you that in order to stay satisfied and not want to eat, if you have to eat 6,000 to 10,000 calories a day of the proper food, of course, then that's what you should do. But you say, Mitch, how am I going to lose any weight if I eat 6,000 to 10,000 calories a day? And I tell you, during the first 30 days of adapting your body to a whole new physiology of burning fat as your primary fuel instead of sugar, who cares whether you lose any weight or not? You're paying your dues. You're doing whatever is necessary to keep you on this thing until that physiology changes. And that's the goal of the first 30 days. And the only goal of the first 30 days is to become fat adapted instead of sugar adapted. That's it. That's all that's important. Whether you lose weight, gain weight, exercise, nothing else makes any difference if you devote yourself in that first 30 days to just eating till you can't eat anymore and never letting yourself get hungry. At the end of that 30 days, you will more than likely become fat adapted. And that's when the next 30 days comes into play. And then you start learning how to manage intermittent fasting and fasting in general, and learning the correct quantities of food that you should be eating. And then after you've learned that, you might be surprised to see you've actually lost some weight, but who cares? That is not the goal of getting yourself into a carnivore lifestyle. And the methods to make sure that you don't ever get hungry. It's hard to have cravings when you're not hungry, when you're not thinking about eating. If you've ever stuffed yourself to the point where you can't move, remember how you felt at that particular time. You felt, I can't eat another bite or I'm going to explode. The last thing on your mind when you feel like that is eating anything, let alone cravings for things, when you feel like you can't eat another bite and you want to stay in that state. And you stay in that state by always having food cooked and ready to eat. That food I'm talking about can be cooked bacon. It could be cooked hamburger patties in the refrigerator, hard-boiled eggs, maybe even some high-fat hard cheese. But bacon and burgers and hard-boiled eggs seem to do the trick because they're portable. If you go out, you can take a few of these things out of the refrigerator, throw them in a Ziploc bag, put them in your pocket or your purse. Always have food handy that you can eat the instant you get any kind of a hunger pang or a craving. Eat, and eat as much as you can of it. Don't just take a bite or two. Don't just snack on it. Eat. Eat until you regain that feeling of, I'm done, I don't want to eat anymore. I don't care if you have to eat a half a pound of bacon and a pound of burger or a half a dozen eggs. Whatever it takes. Eat. Don't allow your addiction a chance of taking over and steering you towards blowing what you're doing. Eat. They call that priming, call it whatever you want. Just eat. Sounds like a terrific way to be on a diet. And it is. Whoever else told you that when you're on a diet, just eat until you can't move. That's what you need to do. And that's how I did it for the first 30 days. I just gorged myself. Now, interestingly enough, I didn't gain any weight in that first 30 days. I didn't lose any weight either. But I sure as hell stomped my cravings down to where they were manageable. And when I transitioned to the second 30 days and the sustainable part of carnivore, started intermittent fasting and fasting if I needed to or wanted to, and other things, the cravings really never came back strong enough to throw me off. And over the course of a year of sustainable carnivore, those cravings, I would say, are cured. That addiction has been put to bed. I've been at it long enough where I think my subconscious mind is finally convinced that I'm not starving to death when it doesn't get enough sugar, and has given up the constant search and hunt for more survival food, which is what sugar is. So that's the first thing. Now the psychological rule. And the psychological rule comes from the fact that for most of us, there's only one reason, one paramount, important reason we, quote, go on a diet. And that reason is to lose weight and look more attractive. That's all we care about. It's better to look good than to feel good, said Billy Crystal as Fernando. That's bullshit. The real reason to go on a diet is to fix your metabolism, and by doing so, fix your health, cure chronic illnesses. And it just so happens that's what the carnivore diet does. And a really neat side effect of the carnivore diet is your body will find its optimal weight without you having to even think about it. You could be on a carnivore diet, start it, do it for a year, and end up like me without ever once getting on a scale or thinking that there's any other intervention that you need to do, anything else that you need to control, anything else that you need to worry about other than what you put in your mouth. And if what you put in your mouth adheres to the rules of eating animal products in the right fat to protein ratio, if you do only that, which interestingly enough is about the only thing we can control, the rest of everything will take care of itself. Your body will find its optimal weight. Your body composition will change. You'll lose fat. You'll put on muscle. Your brain will work better. Everything will return to optimal. So, the biggest mistake and rule number 2 is stay the hell off of a scale. Period. End of story. Forget that a scale even exists. For the first 30 days, absolutely. And even after that, if you can. But if you must, every week or two, get on the scale out of a curiosity. Not that there's anything you can do about it, but that scale is not going to give you any information that's useful to you other than what you think is going to make you feel good, and is the second biggest reason people fail on diets. Is if the weight isn't coming off as fast as they want it to, they get discouraged, they get depressed. This happens to a lot of people during the very normal stalls that occur on a regular basis on a diet, as your body fights giving up its money in the bank, its stored energy. Spare yourself the psychological torment. Trust in your physiology and know that if you just stick to it, this stuff will happen without you having to agonize over it every day and worry about whether I lost only a half a pound or I gained a half a pound or whatever. It is a trivial number that has nothing to do with whether you are solving the problem and reaching the goals, which was the reason why you started this thing in the first place. So there's your answer to the question I left hanging in my video from yesterday, where I said, I'm going to tell you what to do. Hope this has been helpful to you. I hope it makes sense to you. So think about this while you take the rest of the day off and eat meat.